This video tests the latest Security Bulletin recommendation from Palo Alto Networks. In this bulletin, they recommend to only allow applications with default ports to mitigate the App ID cache poisoning security bypass. In their words, do not use any as the service for allowed applications. The use of cache poisoning to bypass a Palo Alto firewall was first demonstrated in 2011 at CanSec West and at DEF CON 19 by Brad Woodberg. In the latest PAN blog entry, they dispute that this is the same problem. They say that the first exploit used HTTP and SMTP, and the latest exploit uses Facebook and SIP. If we substitute HTTP, is this yet another variant or a fundamental flaw in the Palo Alto Networks security architecture? Let's test their recommendation from the Security Advisory, this time using a simple HTTP request and using application default ports. Our test Palo Alto 2020 appliance has the latest version of PAN-OS 5.0.0 installed. We have a very simple policy installed that is comprised of 4 rules. The first rule blocks access to Facebook from our internal protected network. The second rule allows any traffic from our internal protected network to surf the web using application default ports. The third rule allows DNS requests using application default ports. The fourth rule is a cleanup rule that blocks any other connections. In summary, our security policy specifically blocks Facebook and allows outbound connections from our protected network. Now let's test the policy. To show that it is active, we open a browser and try to access Facebook. As you can see, it is identified correctly as the Facebook application and is blocked by the Palo Alto firewall. Here we see the Palo Alto block page. All is fine and good. Our policy is in place and we are protected. Is it correct? Let's send multiple head requests to Facebook with the host name drive.google.com. This is allowed by Rule 2 of our security policy. By design, the Palo Alto firewall caches the connections in an App ID cache. In order to see this, we'll use the Palo Alto CLI command, show running application cache. When we check the App ID cache, we see there are a lot of hits on the cache above the threshold of 16. The Palo Alto firewall is now making security decisions based upon this cache entry. Any connections to Facebook on port 443 that match will be allowed. In fact, now the Palo Alto firewall has stopped inspecting for applications. Now, when we browse to Facebook, the connection does not match Rule 1 of the security policy as it did before, and it is now allowed by the App ID cache entry. As you see, there is no block page and the connection is allowed. The Palo Alto firewall security policy has effectively been bypassed again. Let's verify the Palo Alto firewall indeed categorizes this connection as Google Drive by looking at the log viewer. You see the connections are all identified as the Google Drive application. Not only has the Palo Alto firewall been bypassed, but administrators will not know that their firewall has been bypassed. This seems to be yet another way to bypass a Palo Alto firewall using cache poisoning as discovered and first disclosed by Brad Woodberg in March 2011 at CanSec West. The only effective mitigation available seems to be to follow Palo Alto Networks' recommendation to disable the default setting that allows App ID caching. According to their security advisory, this effectively decreases their application catch rate. For instance, quite a large group of media-related applications will now be identified as unknown. It seems Palo Alto Networks has not yet fixed their firewall.